few short weeks away, and Run Pure Sports is gearing up for the season with the best deal in DFS.
For a limited time only, we are offering new members a 15% discount for the life of their subscription, including SaberSim subs. Simply use the promo code NFL15 when subscribing to take advantage of this great deal before our prices go up.
And at RPS, we don't just give you access to one sport. When you subscribe to our premium service, we give you access to all of our content, including NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and so much more.
And we're not going to charge extra for access to our preseason content either. Our memberships include all of our content, including the NFL preseason. The best DFS players in the industry give you access to their core plays and slate strategies for every sport and for every slate. Simplify your lineup building process by plugging in picks directly from the top players in the world. Watch our premium live streams to gain a huge edge on the competition. Our guys are live up to lock for the biggest slates, walking you through their last-minute decisions, analyzing breaking news and injury alerts for the major sports.
Again, for a limited time only, you can access our industry-leading DFS content for 15% off our already low price. SaberSim packages are included, so sign up today using the promo code NFL15 for 15% off your subscription for life and start building winning lineups today.
All right, so we got a nice little morning show today. I'm excited about this slate. We got a nice little baseball slate. We got a Denver crew. We got Mangone, who is a little bit west of me. We've got DC, who is way north of both of us. And I'm just saying that I'm in the middle. It's going to be hot today. We got a Rockies game on the schedule. Guys, I'm going to my first Rockies game of the year on Friday. I mean, I just haven't had a chance to get out there, but that team sucks so bad, and it's against Arizona. So I figured for $6, I can take the kids out there and not waste any other money. Anyways, talk to me here, DC. I love day baseball. This is a great day. We got day baseball. We got preseason football tonight, which you're probably not as excited about, but I will be playing a whole bunch of DFS. Whew, that was a lot. Awesome Thursday. I'm excited, DC.
I like these early baseball slates. We get the show done early, get our teams in, pick some winners, and you can kind of go about your day. It would be a good day. Speaking of cheap baseball games, I bet you can get to that St. Louis, Colorado game for a few bucks if you want to go bake in the 95-degree heat in Coors Field. I'm not going to do it myself, but hey, we could all meet up, and fry ourselves. No, not going to happen. But,
well, I'll just say this: if you've never been to Coors, do not sit anywhere in right field.
Yeah.
Because you will literally die. It's like 200 degrees.
Yeah. You do got to be careful on the day games in the summer and in Coors Field for sure. It'll be just the seats are baking. You got to be careful, but you can sit wherever you want. There'll be nobody there. There'll probably be more Cardinals fans in the stands than there will be Rockies fans. And maybe they'll see another 4-for-5 home run day from Albert Pujols.
No, Winnie the Pujols.
Winnie the Pujols. Yes. Big T. My take on Pujols being a good play was so bad. He had to jump on the show, not scheduled to be on the show, on the premium show last night. And I unfortunately played Goldschmidt over Pujols myself, so I didn't quite benefit from it as much as I should have. But it was funny. We knew it was coming once we were shitting all over Pujols on the show. Ozuna got one too. Holden, I saw you like the tweet about that. Whoever we're talking shit about on the show.
It was Tony. It was Tony. And listen, he's the best DFS player in the world. I don't care what anybody else says, but he said don't play Chavis. 2 nights ago, he got me 2 home runs. Yeah, I did not play Winnie the Pujols though. I did not do that. How did Yachty do?
I don't think great. Once Pujols was going off, I was kind of like, all right, this isn't going to be my
Tony, get in the chat and tell us who's the shitty play today so we can build our lineups around him. Mangone, it's been too long. I have not seen you in a while. I know we're a month away from the NFL, though, so we'll be less than a month from now. We'll be doing cash show stuff, probably. I don't know. You know the schedule better than me, but good to see you, man. What the hell's going on in the suburban streets of wherever the hell you live these days?
I mean, Holden, you say that, like, I mean, listen, like I was grocery shopping not too far from your place last night, and I was like, I might see Holden. Like, this is
what?
scary.
Where'd you go?
I don't know, one of like the Millions King supers in this area. Like I happened to be grabbing food around there and I was like, let me grab some stuff I need at the grocery store. So, but I realized I'm kind of way too close to Holden right now. So
if I was grocery shopping in Holden's neck of the woods, I'd be like peering around the aisles, like making sure he didn't see me, Like, I don't know what kind of camouflage you need in the King Supers, but I'd be wearing whatever I had to blend in with the canned goods and the meats. No,
I'm pretty sure if I saw Holden, I might jump in one of the freezers, right, and just like freeze myself.
Yeah. Whatever you gotta do.
To make sure.
Yeah. Carbonite. Would you go full Carbonite Han Solo, like in the food section?
Yep.
Oh, that's messed up, man.
It'd be great, but good to be with you, Holden, as always. I know you guys said you were talking about talking crap about Marcell Ozuna. Well, I had him on my single entry 3-max stuff, so I got lucky there. I did not listen. I'm definitely in Big T's camp. You're not going to catch me rostering Albert Pujols anytime soon. So it wasn't great for me at the first base position. But hey, we got a fun slate to come back to. And listen, it's a Coors day. I'll tell you that on this big slate. It's something we're going to talk about when you pretty much discuss pitching. You discuss almost every single hitting spot. We're going to have to talk about Coors. I mean, just to give you a quick overview, it's a 12.5 total. And what is the next closest total on the slate? Well, it's 8.5, and it's the Tigers and the Guardians. Overall, Coors is going to be a big talking point on this slate. And Holden, I hope you enjoy the Coors game you go to on Friday. I've been to 3 or 4 so far this year. I really have enjoyed the park. It's been pretty good. So hoping you have a good time at that game on Friday.
Yeah, that it's basically going to be probably 3 innings and take the train home. It's more of a, hey, let's just hang out with the kids and say at least I went to 1 baseball game this year in the regular season. So
3 innings.
That's it, huh?
You can do better than 3 innings, Holden. Come on.
Hey, little kids taking the train. Who the hell wants to be at a Rockies game for more than 3 innings on a Friday night against the Diamondbacks, especially when you don't drink? I can see if you're a drinker.
Holden, it's a Diamondbacks Friday night. Maybe you'll have one of those free giveaway nights. Maybe it'll be a bobblehead night. It's the crappy Diamondbacks. They got to do something to incentivize the fans.
Yeah, you know what they did? They gave $6 tickets in the outfield. I was like, you know what? I don't mind paying for a good price for good tickets like Stanley Cup tickets, but for a Rockies Diamondbacks game for $8 total with the tax, I'm there. It's good. But you're right. That Coors game is going to be cooking today. I wonder if we can find any other angles. Before we get into everything, let me give the spiel. And we are on early today. Wow. 56 likes. Gosh, usually I'm no less than 300. We'll go for 250 now, and I'll check back in with the boys a little later. But 56 likes. Let's try to get to 250 today. Tell your friends that we're on. That would be great. And then we have a monster promo going on right now. NFL 15. 15% off monthly subscriptions for life. This is not a 1-month thing. You sign up right now using the code NFL15, Run Pure Sports, NFL15. You get all our course. You get all of our premium shows, up to lock shows, a lot of stuff behind the paywall, most of the great stuff behind the paywall. Of course, we stick these guys on here so you still get good plays, but so much behind the paywall, the playbook, going through every single freaking game, every single player, breaking it down for you. And that's not just the NFL. That's baseball right now. So if you haven't checked it out, and Hoop is a wild card, folks. He's the ultimate wild card. He can wake up today and just be like, boom, NFL 15's over. So I recommend you get over there and check things out. But let's get into the slate. Not a monster slate, right? What is it? 6 games we got, but it's a nice little slate. I like this. Up top, DC, Cease at 10-4. There are some cheaper bats that we can probably fit in from the Rocky side. I don't think we can go double spend up today. Maybe you got a different idea, though. Cease at 10-4 on DraftKings. Valdez, Kelly, Gibson, Cabrera, all these guys kind of mashed up in the top. What's the game plan? 8K and above.
Yeah, I do think the top end of pitching looks pretty good. Dylan Cease, obviously, strikeout master, been dominant all season long. He gets a Royals team. No Bobby Witt in the lineup for the Royals, one of their best hitters. So, yeah, you got to think Cease. I've got him as the SP1. I think it's relatively close between Cease and Valdez. I do think Valdez probably the safer option. If I said who's going to score just more points, I think I would take Valdez straight up over Cease, but I do think Cease has way more upside with the strikeouts that he can generate. So I do kind of prefer Cease from a tournament perspective, at least. And I'm also seeing Mangone much higher ownership projections on Valdez than Cease. I guess part of that could be the $600 price difference, which, on a slate with Coors Field that I think most people are going to want to get to, people are going to want guys like Goldschmidt and Arenado. That can go a long way. So maybe you'll see Valdez or Cease rather come in lower owned than Valdez. That's something I'm certainly interested in. You can play both of these guys. There are enough cheap bats. The Tigers have several bats near the top of their lineup that I think are decent plays, swinging from the left side against Plesac. So you can fit Valdez and Cease together if you want to. I think that's certainly a viable way to go. But I do think there are other directions you can head to. I mean, Merrill Kelly, not the most exciting pitcher in the league, but he gets the Pirates at home, and he's 9,100. I think you can probably expect 20 plus fantasy points out of Merrill Kelly at a decent price point. That's a solid way. Kyle Gibson, I think, looks perfectly fine against Miami. Again, not a pitcher we often recommend, not a dominant pitcher by any means, but the matchup with Miami is good enough where you got to take into account Kyle Gibson. And then the pitcher that I'm planning to play in my main lineup is Edward Cabrera of the Marlins. I'm seeing him perhaps come in lower than 10% owned on a 6-game slate. A truly electric arm who he's made 4 starts at the big league level. He's been awesome in 3 of them. The one start where he didn't pitch well was in Houston. And after that start, he went to the injured list. I think he missed some time with personal reasons. I'm not exactly sure what was going on there, but he did make 3 rehab appearances, building up his pitch count. And then in his return start against the Cubs, went 5 innings, 78 pitches. So I think he should be able to push into the upper 80s, maybe low 90s in pitch count today for Edward Cabrera. I think the strikeouts can be there against Philadelphia. And you're going to get him low owned, like I said, because he is an underdog here. It's a great park to hit in, obviously, in Philly. They've got a little bit of a dangerous lineup. But Cabrera is, truly an upper echelon arm talent. And we've seen it from him. In his big league debut, or at least his first start this year, he struck out 11 guys in Coors Field, right? He's that type of guy who can get the job done against anybody. And at super low ownership on a slate where it's going to be a little bit hard to get different, I think, with the bats. Maybe I'll do it at starting pitcher, because I do think Cabrera, I know he does have the talent to match anybody on this slate. He can put up 30 fantasy points. We've seen him do it in the past. I'm not saying he's as likely as Cease or Valdez to get there, but he's certainly capable of it. And with the lower ownership, a little bit of a price discount, it's a dice roll I'm personally willing to take in a tournament. Wouldn't play him in cash. I think in cash, you got to play Valdez, Cease probably, but we're talking tournaments here. I think Cabrera can get the job done. And Cease and Cabrera, my preferred pairing. I can't really make much of a case for anybody below Gibson, to be honest, on this slate. So I think it's a spend up for pitching slate for ownership reasons. Cease, Cabrera, the direction I'm likely to go myself.
All right. Very good. We got that going. Mangone, welcome to the show. Let's get you going here on pitching. Couple cores are out. I see Draft Cheats core. By the way, DC, before I get to Mangone real quick, there's some electric arms in that Miami rotation, man. So that might be something next year that we start looking at. They got a lot of other issues, but there's some arms up there toward the front and the middle. All right, Mangone, what do we want to do here at pitcher, considering a lot of people are going to try and stuff cores in there today?
Yeah, people are definitely going to try and stuff cores in there. So I think one strategy you can think about is hey, Dylan Cease and Valdez, I think both of them are going to basically be 40+% owned. Now, probably Valdez gains a little bit more than Cease, but the point I'm getting at is, well, if you just fade one of them, you've pretty much almost eliminated half the field if it works out in your favor. Now, if the one guy blows up, that's absolutely massive. You're probably not expecting a blow up. Also at pitcher, sometimes it's hard to separate the gap, right? The most you can really separate is let's say your pitcher goes for 10, right? And that's not a great performance for Valdez. And then Merrill Kelly goes for 26 or 30. Well, then you've gained a home run on them. So you can't gain as much of a jump on the field when you get different at pitcher. But man, if they do blow up, or let's say they get injured early on, or just have a bad performance, you can definitely gain on the field from doing that. And that can eliminate, like I said, 40% or more of the field. And you could just eliminate both of Cease and Valdez and then stack up Coors and play like two cheaper options. Like maybe it's Merrill Kelly and maybe it's Cabrera, like that DC likes, right? That's a way that you can go about it for sure. So there are definitely ways to pull this off on this slate. But yeah, that's the point I'm getting at, is that's how you can be a little bit different. I do think that Cease and Valdez are two of my favorite options at the top. I'm going to have a team that, of my three teams, I'm going to have one that definitely has Cease and Valdez together. I do think that that's a really nice combination. I want to see kind of what that does for me with the stacks. If you do look, we do have that Rockies lineup out, and it's just worth mentioning because I think this is going to help kind of push up the ownership of these pitchers and the core stacks as well. The highest price guy on the Rockies is Charlie Blackmon at 4.9K, right? And then on top of that, the guys in the 6, the 7, the 8, and the 9 for the Rockies, every single option is between 3.1K and 2.5K. So the point I'm getting at is, if you want to play Rockies today, it's not that hard to. You have enough value plays to be able to make that work. A lot of people have been playing Montero lately, and he's been doing pretty well. So there are opportunities to definitely get the Rockies in there with ease. So just want to mention that. That's why I think these guys' ownership is going to go up, like Cease and Valdez. You're going to see a lot of people on them. So overall, my option is, I think Cease is the best option when it comes from a ceiling perspective. I think he has the highest strikeout upside. Valdez, I agree with DC. He's probably safer. He might be someone that if you need like $600 to get that like last Coors bat in to be able to make things work, I could see people doing that. But for me, Cease is my favorite if I have to pick, but I like both of them. I do want to talk about Merrill Kelly. I do think he's a really interesting option here on this slate. The Pirates have been hitting the ball a little bit better, but Merrill Kelly is a guy who really suppresses a ton of power. And he has been someone like DC at the start of the year. You talked him up and said, oh, this guy's going to be great this year. And he's been awesome. And I think he's a great way to get different on this slate. And he can easily match or beat both Valdez and Cease. So I really like this spot for Merrill Kelly. He's going to be a pitcher I definitely am overweight on. I'd be curious to see what you kind of think, DC. I don't know if you talked that much about Kyle Gibson. You talked a ton about Cabrera. When I looked at Kyle Gibson a little bit, he seemed like an interesting option. He gets a matchup against Miami. You do worry about the ballpark, but if you're playing Cabrera, and I think you're doing it more for the upside of what he could do and just kind of like match some of these like top end arms, like Kyle Gibson, yes, the park isn't as great, but this is Miami, right? And he's got a long enough leash where he can go deep. So I think Kyle Gibson is kind of in play. Like I said, if you faded a Cease and a Valdez just to be different on this slate right away, you could play like a Kelly with a Gibson or a Kelly with a Cabrera like you're talking about, or maybe it's like Kelly with Plesac, because Plesac, I'm not saying he's a great pitcher, but if you want to just pick on matchups, well, we pick on matchups all the time, like the Tigers against righties. Yep. So it's one that I think you could get away with, but I'm definitely a little cautious with doing it. And I don't know how necessary it's going to be to go that route on this slate. Just kind of depends when you're like building out your lineups. Like you might have enough value today because it's a Thursday and it's a day game. And when you have these Thursday day games, what happens? Guys take rests, right? Guys like CJ Cron sit. We still don't have this Cardinals lineup. We don't know if like a Paul Goldschmidt will sit out of nowhere, right? They could easily trot out Albert Pujols back out there and maybe not play Goldschmidt and play someone else just to give him a day off. So it's definitely something to think about, because on these day games, we see it on Sundays as well. We get guys that sit and we just see some value plays that pop up where maybe you don't have to go all the way down to a Zach Plesac, but he's in the conversation just because it gives you a different construction in the field if you go down there, and might be able to give you like another expensive mini stack to go with. Like maybe that gets you an Astro stack with Jordan and Kyle Tucker and some of these other options. So it's something to think about. That's really like my overall 5-man pitching pool right now. I didn't consider Cabrera, and I probably should have considered him a little bit more, and I'm going to now based on what DC said.
Yeah, just to go kind of circle back to Cabrera over Gibson and Kelly, and I guess even Brubaker, I think you could maybe make a slight case for him against Arizona. And then Plesac, like you mentioned, I mean, I don't play Zach Plesac very often. He's a low upside pitcher, but the matchup here against Detroit certainly does increase that upside, right? Strikeouts up and down that lineup, obviously a terrible lineup in general. I actually like some of the Detroit lefties are super cheap. Guys like Victor Reyes, 2,100, Harold Castro hitting cleanup is 2,400. Riley Green been swinging a pretty good bat at the top of the lineup. So I'm kind of on the Tiger side of that, but certainly could see Plesac, getting 5-6 strikeouts here over 6 good innings. He could get there. But yeah, like I said, part of the play with Cabrera, it's really the two things, right? It's the upside that I know he has. We've just seen it in 3 of his 4 starts. And just looking, throws 98, 99, just like I said, a truly electric arm in Edward Cabrera. And I'm seeing, our friends over at SaberSim have it's increased a little bit as the morning has progressed here, but they still have Cabrera under 10% owned compared to guys like Gibson and Kelly, much higher, 3 times higher than Cabrera. That's always going to be for a pitcher I do believe in and whose talent I believe in Cabrera. That's almost always going to be a proposition that I'm going to take the way less owned guy who I think actually has more upside than the higher owned guys. And I think you're going to need it today, Mangone. That's part of my why I like Cabrera, because I do think, Framber Valdez, like pretty much always puts up a good start, right? Dylan Cease, it's hard to imagine he's not going to rack up some strikeouts against Kansas City. And so if you're fading one of those two guys in your lineup, to me, I want the guy who can match them, even if they have a good outing, right? And to me, that's Edward Cabrera at the low ownership. I think he's got the best chance to, get me and who's ever playing him up closer to the winner's circle if he's able to deliver. Of course, he's riskier. Philly, I think you could stack against Edward Cabrera. He's a rookie pitcher who has very little experience in a hitter's ballpark. I get the points against him, but for me at least, he's kind of the guy that I would rather take my chances with. But yeah, it sounds like we're mostly on the same guys. I think it's close between Cease and Valdez up top. We'll see how the ownership breaks down, but I do think Cease is the higher upside play, so I'll lean that way. So yeah, Cease, Cabrera for me, but like you said, the other guys you mentioned, I think are very much in play. It's just I'm chasing the upside on the 6-game slate personally.
Okay, so we do have a change to DC's core.
Yeah,
for the subscribers. I don't want you to talk about it on the free show. So subscribers, if you were looking at the core for DC earlier, there's been a little bit of a change, so make sure you get in on that. Speaking of which, you still got time to get in on the change to DC's core. Who's doing cores today? I know we got Hoop, we got Draft Cheat, Boynton, and Gary. Where's your core, Mangone? We're sitting. Will you put it in the premium chat?
My stuff's on the single entry 3 max stuff. So
that's it.
The way I do it, just to explain, if you check it out, I do 3 cores. Now I don't do it the same exact way as everyone else does. Cause what I basically talk about is hey, I'm doing I mainly do 5-3 stacks, and I basically just give out 2 of the pitchers and I give out 3 of the bats. And I don't give out the full of them because I'm giving out 3 cores in general, right? And 2, what I'm doing. If I put 2 Cardinals and then 1 Rocky, what I'm doing is I'm going 5 Rockies and then I'm going 3 Cardinals. So sometimes I do 5-2-1, but mainly that's kind of the route that I stick with the 5-3. So yeah, that's kind of why I do it in that way. And I explain a little bit more in the breakdown. I give you my top stacks and I give you my top pitchers as well. In DC, I did make a change. And I think as we talked it through, I realized I don't think you need Plesac on this slate because of the salary relief options that you're going to have within that Cardinals and Rockies lineup, where I think Cabrera, I added in over him, and I think you made up some really good points. So made a quick change with that. And one combination that I might put as one of my cores is I might do a Merrill Kelly with a Cabrera route. I think that pitching option and just straight up fading a Cease and a Valdez is just interesting. Now I'll lock both those pitchers in. I'll go on the Saber and see what it does. And it might just get you a really interesting core stack, but I am kind of waiting on this lineup. That's one thing we're kind of hoping happens. We need to get this Cardinals, lineup in there. That way I can kind of get everything updated, but maybe that kind of keeps the ownership down too. Who knows?
Yeah, it is interesting. At least on paper, it's not the best strikeout matchup in the world for Dylan Cease. The Royals just never put up any runs, right? And so it's if you're not scoring runs, Cease, I think he's got a good chance to get through 6 or 7 innings. And at that point, he's probably going to get the strikeouts anyway, but you can at least make the case on paper that it could be, a slower strikeout game for Cease. I still do have him as the SB1, but I don't know.
But DC, it's baseball, right? We saw Garrett Cole get blown up by Seattle. Now I get it. Seattle's a little different than the Royals, but you're telling me Melendez, Perez, our boy Vinny P, the Italian nightmare, Prado, some of these guys can't get a hold of them. I think, of course, they can. We're not saying stack up the Royals, but the point we're getting at is when you have pitchers that are 50% or more, and again, Cabrera and a combination of Cabrera and Kelly could be enough to get you some extra bats, and they could easily match them, right? Of course, if you get buried by it, that's fine. But again, I'm playing 3 teams. If I have 3 teams there, I can still be overweight on Cease and have him on 2 and just have one of those teams where it fades both of Valdez and Cease, and then it gives you a little bit of a different look.
For sure. Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun little challenging slate today, to tell you the truth. We'll get into, and we are waiting for that whole lineup here for the Cardinals, and that's really gonna it's gonna affect a lot of people's lineups, obviously, right? So let me tell you, we do have a change to the core for DC. We do have Mangone's 3 max up there. Hoop is putting a core in today. So we got all that. You get all the cores, you get the playbooks and everything else. And I'm going to tell you again, NFL 15. That's the promo code, 15% off monthly subs for life of the subscription, including SaberSim. And you don't just get baseball. The golf team's been killing it. MMA, DC's part of that team. NFL preseason. Here we go. I mean, it is here. We got preseason 2 games tonight. So lots going on here. Great time.
Hold on. We have a show tonight on this channel as well.
Oh, let's hear it.
We got a show. It's at 6:15. I believe it'll be Snyder. I think Bruce, Rubio, Kurt. Don't hold me to it for sure. And if I said your name, doesn't mean you have to pop on if you weren't already scheduled. But I believe that's the 4 that you will see tonight. So they'll be talking some NFL preseason. Yes, it's only a 2-game slate, but they'll be breaking everything down. If any news is breaking, they'll be obviously looking for all that. And we'll have the playbook up. We'll be in the Discord chat. So, make sure to check that out. It'll be here for free on the YouTube channel.
It'll be interesting because if I can actually put coherent words out of my mouth, I might hop in and surprise those guys. To which the only person that wouldn't be happy would be Rubio, but who the hell cares about Rubio? Who is he? Also, it is time now to tell you about the members that never win, because members never win is shtick that we do, because members win big prizes nightly. Let's go look at who won. We don't have coordinators here. This is winners. This is just subscribers. Drew CA. 8K MMA. Nova backs that up with 8K MMA. Toe Regard, 14K in NASCAR. Dude, our NASCAR team is good too. Really good. JSURab, 14K in the PGA, and Shibby beat him by 1,000 with a 15K hit in the PGA. And Michael Smith, 15K hit in the PGA. And then you got Hockey 8812, who went for 44K on the links. Let's see, Family Auto Rentals. I mean, is that a sponsored handle right there? 10K, he won in Major League Baseball. And then Simo's just killing it again. He won not only 50K hit, but then he had 100K hit. So members never win. Yes, they do. Now, Mangone, since Draft Cheat went first on the pitching side, let's get your thoughts offensively on game number 1 here with Miami and the Phillies and Kyle Gibson, Edward Cabrera.
Yeah, so I do think this is a spot where you could play Cabrera and you could also consider the Phillies a little bit. And this is my reason for considering the Phillies. Well, for one, the price tags are really nice on some of these guys, right? If you look, Hoskins, 4.3K. Bohm, who's been hitting a lot better, 4.2. Hall is 3.5. And then Castellanos at 3.9. You have Schwarber, yes, he's 6K, he's expensive. But the point I'm getting at, this 1 through 5, they have enough power bats where they have enough double dong upside, right? Where they can hit 2 home runs. And on these slates, if a guy just absolutely breaks a slate, you're going to need to have them. So I think these Phillies is a mini stack are definitely in play, especially for the price tags that you're getting them at. Yes, I get it. Kyle Schwarber, 6K. I'm not saying he's definitely a guy that you need to jam in there by any means, but could a nice little mini stack, a 2-man of a Hall and a Castellanos or a Castellanos and a Hoskins get the job done? It certainly can on this slate. Now I get it. Of course, talked up Cabrera a little bit, but I do think that this Phillies offense, if you look, you compare him to the Marlins, you compare him to the Guardians, the Tigers, the Texas Rangers, some of these other offenses that we have on this slate just don't have the power that this team has. So there's just a lot of upside and ceiling with this offense. So I definitely have some interest. I think I like it more with the mini stack. Curious to get DC's thoughts, because again, I know he's on Cabrera, but these price tags and the upside that this offense has, and because it's a very short slate, I think it's something you can consider both sides here today.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, clearly the Phillies have a lot of upside. It's pretty much always true, right? Whenever they're at home in Philadelphia, ball absolutely flies, home run park. And Cabrera is, like I said, an inexperienced pitcher. Schwarber and Derek Hall, I mean, I make this case all the time. Anytime they're facing basically any right-handed pitcher, I love the power lefties. That's Schwarber, Hall, You could throw in a Bryson Stott there if you wanted to. The Phillies problem with the Phillies though is like that all of their hitters are so splits heavy, right? Like Schwarber and Hall crush righties. But then, if you're trying to fill out the full stack, guys like Hoskins, Bohm, Castellanos are notorious lefty mashers, right? So I'm always kind of hesitant to full stack them unless they're facing a true gas can, which Edward Cabrera certainly is not that. So if I was going to the Phillies, I would probably stick to the lefty power for the most part. Of course, you can full stack it if you want to. But like I said, I'm riding with Cabrera today, so I won't have any Phillies in my personal lineups. I do get why people would go there. Schwarber and Hall, my favorite of the bunch for Philadelphia. Miami side, if you need the savings, JJ Bleday coming off a big game yesterday, I think you could go to. Charles LeBlanc was solid. He's super cheap. Like they got a lot of guys that are very, very cheap. You can stack this team up if you want to against Kyle Gibson, who is not infallible by any means. And then pitch, Cease and Valdez if you want to go in that direction, or even maybe Cabrera, right? If Miami goes off, obviously he's got a good chance to get the win. So you could go that direction. So I could see the case for going to Miami, a huge park upgrade here, moving from, of course, the pitcher's paradise in Miami to a hitter's paradise in Philadelphia. But ultimately, I don't think Miami will be the team that you really need on the full stack to get to the top. I would be surprised if they, if a 4 or 5 man Miami team did enough to get you all the way to the winner's circle. But I do think if you need savings, I don't mind going here. Favorite play on Miami would be JJ Bleday, hitting cleanup, top prospect, good hitter, and 2,100 in the outfield tonight.
Bleday. It's another day that name comes up. All right, let's get into the second game we got going on here. Cleveland and Detroit. DC, what do you think about picking a couple Tigers off against Plesac today?
I like it, man. He gets hit hard by left-handed bats, and these guys are super cheap for Detroit. Riley Green, their kind of top prospect, been hitting leadoff for the better half, the second half of the year, I think, at least for Riley Green. He's been up and down like most rookies are, but he does have a lot of talent. Power, speed, good hitting weather in Detroit, hot, humid, and wind blowing out, which makes a big difference in Tigerland, especially because it's a tough place to hit home runs in general. So that is a nice boost for all the hitters in this game. So yeah, I'm in on Green. I think if you need savings, Victor Reyes at 2,100, Harold Castro at 2,400, Willie Castro at 2K even. This is another team you can absolutely, even guys like Akil Baddoo hitting ninth for stone minimum. What do the Tigers have below 3K? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys below 3K for the Tigers. So this is another team that you can go to against a pitcher in Zach Plesac who does get hit hard, doesn't strike out many lefties. So there is some appeal to this Tigers team. Again, I don't know if I want 5 Tigers, but if I'm spending up a pitching, if I want to get some of the big bats from Coors Field, I don't mind at all going to some of these Tigers guys for price savings. I think my favorites are the 2 guys at the top, Riley Green and Victor Reyes, but you can fill in from there if you want to. So that's the Tiger side. And then, yeah, the Indian side against Garrett Hill looks pretty good too. We've seen them do some damage. I do like the lefties better against him. Specifically, Jose Ramirez looks like an awesome play. I think he's a really good pivot off of Nolan Arenado or Ryan McMahon. Most people are going to go to one of those 2 third basemen out in Coors Field, but I think Ramirez is just as good of a play against Garrett Hill in that Tigers bullpen. So love Ramirez. Andres Jimenez would be the second guy that I would want on Cleveland. Of course, Quan, Rosario, guys at the top of the lineup, they're decent plays too, but Ramirez, especially and Andres Jimenez, the 2 guys that I think are the best options on the Guardians.
Interesting. All right, let's get into this here, Mangone. Game number 2. We just heard DC break down the Guardians and the Tigers. Any reason to go here with Coors on the slate?
Yeah, I'm not dying to play it, but like the points DC's bringing up, I'm perfectly fine with. Like he's playing these Tigers bats or considering these Tigers cheap bats because they're cheap, right? And like it's going to help make things work with his lineup. Like he's not saying go out and 5-man stack and he's saying, hey, maybe it's like a one-off of a Reyes or a 2-man stack to be able to help make things work, right? So I don't hate that. I think it's perfectly fine. I mean, if you're like looking at some of these options, like how great is Sam Hilliard? And he's a guy that people are going to be putting in their lineups at 2.5K. Like, why not a Victor Reyes at just absolutely no ownership instead? So I get what he's doing. I'm not saying I'm going to go out and do it, but I understand he's doing it to help make his lineup work and also give him a little bit of differentiation within his team. So it's perfectly fine. Just you got kind of have to take a stand on a slate. And if that's a stand you want to take, that's fine. But for me, I think like the cheap ones that we're going to get to is I'm going to talk about those Arizona lefties. Those are the ones that I'm looking at more. But again, they're a little more expensive than DC's guys that he's kind of considering.
Okay, so just pass on the game, get rid of it.
For me, yeah, I mean, you got to take stand somewhere, and I just don't think this is a game I love, so I'm out on it.
Okay, very good. Let's move on then. That was very easy. Where are we here? We want 250 today. 110 likes, Mangone. Mangone, how stupid is that? Because we don't get 250, we don't get plays of the day.
Well, I will say we're at 305 watching. I don't think we're getting the 250. I'm going to say that.
Don't be negative.
I'm not being negative. I'm being a realist, right? If DC hits me up and says, "Hey, let's all the three of us hit a Rockies game," I'm not going to say like no because I don't want to go. I'm going to be a realist and be like, it's probably not happening. We're probably not pulling this off today. You know what I mean? So, but let's be realistic. I say we change the number. All right, DC, do you agree or disagree?
I think we might need to lop 50 off the top of that 250 mark and move it down to 200.
That's horrible.
Yeah, let's just move it to 200, Holden. Let's see if the people can pull it off for us. I mean, again, we got some time left, but we don't have a lot of time.
The danger in moving the number down is it just gets even more pathetic if they don't hit the decrease number, right? It could be rough. I don't know.
Yep. And we got our boy Locks in the chat, one of our newest guys that's going to be helping out here at Run Pure. He says, get them likes up. So let's go. So let's get more likes moving.
Locks. Now, is it Locks? It's LOX, but does he do Locks because LOCKS or the delicious smoked fish?
Yeah, I have no idea. That's a question you'd have.
Locks, how did you get your name Locks? Please put that in the chat. I'm very interested in knowing. Probably the only one that's interested, but I am very interested in that. Okay. Brock Erickson, Oscar Gonzalez Dong Day. It's uncomfortable. You made me uncomfortable with that one. That's all I could tell you. Game number 3, I guess, is where we're going to go next.
Sounds good to me.
Damn like button. Houston and the Rangers here. So, Mangone, I think the last time Reagans was on the mound, Cole Reagans, we liked him. Today against the Astros, I'm not so sure. I like him very much. That being said, Astros offense disappointed a little bit last night. What about Texas and Houston, and who's in the circle of trust?
Yeah, I definitely do not like this Reagans guy that much here in this spot. Like, listen, it's against the Astros. And if you want to get different with the Astros, I think you certainly can on this slate. They're definitely a team that you can take a shot on. Like, they can go off any day, right? Similar to the Yankees, similar to the Mets, the Braves. Like, you're not surprised if they have a big game. And this isn't a bad spot to take a shot on them. I think they're an interesting contrarian stack. Just if you do load up on them, I mean, it's not going to be easy to get those guys in your lineups. Like, the one thing that's nice is Gurriel's at least in there at 3.2K for a little bit of salary relief. Kyle Tucker's price tag of 4.3 isn't that bad. You don't have Yordan Alvarez in the lineup, so it's a little more watered down. But Diaz, 3.6K, Mancini, 3.7, Pena is at 3.9. I mean, you do have some value plays at the bottom of the lineup. So overall, this isn't a bad lineup to go to. I do think they're just going to be completely overlooked because everyone's going to be loading up the boat on Coors Field. And again, like the Astros, we always forget this sometimes, but when you do play these stacks that people aren't going to be on, like for instance, when I think people were on the Yankees in Seattle the other day, you don't have to play that much of them to get overweight on them. And yes, it's only like a 6-game slate. So I'm not saying these guys are going to be absolutely unowned, but if you're playing 10 teams, if you had like 30% Astro stacks, you're way overweight at that point, right? You're not going to see these guys coming in that high. So I think Astros are definitely in play on this slate.
DC, it doesn't look like you're on any Astros position players right now, but why don't you confirm or deny that?
Yeah, I'm mostly fading the Astros. The biggest reason why, so Reagan's making his second start here. I actually played him a little bit in his previous start just for the big price savings that, he put up 13 fantasy points. That was what we were hoping for on that specific slate. The reason I was kind of on him in that last start and off of the White Sox, Reagan's is like, at least in the minor leagues, and, he pitched okay against the White Sox too. Big reverse splits guy. He throws from the left side, but he's actually been much, much better against right-handed bats kind of throughout his minor league career. And obviously the Astros primarily right-handed, right? Altuve, Bregman, Pena, even Jordan Alvarez out of the lineup. I actually wanted to play him for the lefty-lefty matchup. I can go to Kyle Tucker instead. But yeah, Ragans has been good against opposite-handed hitters, which is rare for a left-handed starter, but he does appear to be one of those guys who does, perform well against righties. So I'm not saying Houston can't go off, right? I don't think Ragans is actually that good in general, but you gotta make some cuts somewhere. You got to take a stand somewhere, and I'll go with the data and kind of stick with it that maybe Ragans can limit the damage from the right-handed bats of the Astros. So I'm not going to play guys like Bregman and Altuve again. Obviously, would not be surprised whatsoever to see them do some serious damage here, but numbers say there might be better spots to go to on the slate, and I think people maybe don't realize that Ragans does profile better against right-handed bats than he does against lefties. So I talk about this a lot when I think maybe I know something, a nugget on a slate that other people aren't aware of. I try to follow that, right? And so this is one of those spots for me. So mostly fading the Astros. I do have a little bit of Kyle Tucker for the lefty-lefty matchup. He has been picking it up these last few games after a slow stretch for him and can hit lefties just fine. So mostly fading the Astros, and then pretty much the same for Texas. I almost never take anybody against Framber Valdez. He's got the highest ground ball rate in Major League Baseball. The Astros have a good bullpen, and you're just not going to do much damage, right? Hitting the ball on the ground, gives up very few home runs. The one Ranger that I do have some interest in at a really rough catcher position is Jonah Heim, hitting cleanup for them. We've been on him all year against lefties, continues to perform really well against left-handed pitchers. So yeah, Jonah Heim, 3,900, I think is a sneaky play if you're not on Valdez. But yeah, this game offensively, mostly a fade for me.
All right, somebody tell the big man, Tony, that we're on the air. That's all I'll say. He's calling me in the middle of the show. Like, come on, Big T.
I don't know. Maybe he wants a link. I don't know. What does he call you?
He knows the link. He's come on a million times. It's like, call me, you donkey.
That's fair.
Like,
I don't know.
How often does Big T call you? This seems like an unusual
easily
time.
once a day, probably.
Once a day. Okay.
And it's just like,
I'm jealous. He doesn't call me that often.
Just like, dude, and then you got to send him the voicemail.
He started calling me more when I changed his name to Anthony in my phone. So now I get more phone calls.
Is that the secret? Okay.
Yep. The name Anthony, it's helped out a little bit. He wants to. He's striving for my attention to make it Big T. He wants to be back to being Big T instead of Anthony. So
I just changed his name on my phone to Michael Chavis. By the way, I'm not even kidding. It's like, oh, Michael Chavis is calling. It's wonder. Hey, Tony,
you're gonna change it to Winnie the Pooh for
Winnie the Pooh holes. Hey, somebody at RPS hit Tony up and tell him there's a live show right now, and then tell him to come on the show so he can give us the worst play of the day, which is going to hit 2 home runs. Mangone, did you get in on that? Yeah, you got in on that last game. So let's just keep moving on with the White Sox and the Royals. Before we do that, though, the guys lowered the like threshold to 200, and I'm not buying it. I think we need to be at 250 for you guys to get plays. So good luck with that. If you hit 200, I guess, DC can make up his mind, then we'll throw it to him. But like button would be great. That helps us with the algorithm, and that means that we'll be really happy. So that's terrific. Mangone, White Sox, Royals. Can you make a case for a few of these White Sox today?
I can't get too excited about the White Sox here in this spot. Zach Greinke is a guy you can pick on, right? But I just don't think it's the spot for me to do it. So I'm going to stay away. I'm okay with it. I also don't want to pick on Dylan Cease. Obviously, you can't play every single offense on this slate. So no White Sox for me. It's just this lineup is not as great. Obviously, they lost some Timmy Anderson. You do have Sosa down there. That's like a 2K option that can help make some stuff work as well for your lineup. But again, I just don't need to do it on this slate. I'm going to pass.
DC, what can we find here? Maybe a little Yasmani Grandal day if you got the money.
Yeah, he's one of the options at catcher, but hard to be excited about Yasmani Grandal. Was he hitting like 170 home runs on the year? I mean, dude has done absolutely nothing all year long. Catcher is so rough today that I still think he's certainly in play. I do have a little bit of Grandal, but I think I kind of prefer that pivot to Jonah Heim. I bet Grandal will come in way higher owned than Jonah Heim, who has been so much more productive than Grandal this season. So that's That's the Grandal spiel. Yeah, I mean, Greinke has been reverse splits this year and last year. So I think the right-handed bats for Chicago, which is essentially their entire lineup outside of Grandal and Moncada, or switch hitters, are kind of sneaky against Greinke. Bad bullpen for KC as well, but kind of hard to go to this park with some much better hitting environments. Obviously, Coors Field coming up here on the slate. But yeah, I think you can stack. If I was going to Chicago, I think I kind of like the full stack, right? Give me Robert, Abreu, Jimenez, Andrew Vaughn, and then maybe Grandal. Maybe that 1 through 5 looks good. There is some price savings. Like Mangone mentioned at the bottom, Lennon Sosa, I think, is a decent guy for 2K if you need the savings, which you might on the slate. So yeah, I think the White Sox are, I don't know, they'd be like third or fourth favorite stack for me. And then the Royals, I mean, you can pick off some bats if you're not on Cease. I think Melendez, Michael Massey is 2K, a top prospect, swinging from the left side. He's got some power. Vinny Pasquantino continues to fly under the radar a little bit, but I mean, the underlying metrics, love him. I think he's going to be a really good hitter in this league. You've got Salvador Perez hitting in there. So there are some guys you can certainly play from the Royals if you're not on Cease. Obviously, you're doing it, for the leverage, for the ownership purposes, but they do have some intriguing bats. So you can go to offense in this game, but obviously it's not the best spot on the slate.
Okay. Where are we right now with the thumbs up? 147. Yeah, I don't even know if they're getting to 200 today, my friends. Anyway, so go and do that. I'm going to give you one more spiel here, and then we'll get into the final 2 games of the slate. So what do you need to know? NFL 15% off our monthly subscriptions for life of the subscription, including SaberSim. So you get our great optimizer, which I've been using a lot of lately and doing a little bit better in MLB, to be perfectly honest with you. Also, Best Ball. Simon does shows. I think Tony was on this past week. Whatever. He's coming back from lunch, guys. So thanks for watching, Tony. You don't have a phone where you can actually listen to this. Underdog, early NFL Best Ball, $10 million Best Ball Mania 3 contest. Use the promo code RUNPURE if you're playing Best Ball. You get a deposit match up to $100. So go and do that. Guys, I want to skip the Coors game for a second and get back to that. Just real quick on this Arizona-Pittsburgh game. Merrill Kelly going up against the Pirates. We'll see how popular Merrill Kelly is. On the other side, DC with Arizona against Brubaker. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you found a couple gems in this one.
Yeah, I think those lefty bats are pretty good plays against him. A 4.6 team total for Arizona. So what is that? I mean, that might be the 3rd highest on the slate, I think. Yeah, kind of right there with the Guardians. So yeah, 3 guys I do like here: Alek Thomas, Josh Rojas, Dalton Varsho hitting leadoff, 3rd, 5th. You can certainly fill in with Emmanuel Rivera, Christian Walker, who are relatively cheap. And you can go with that 1 through 5 stack. I don't mind it for Arizona. I think they're kind of sneaky. Brubaker, yeah, just kind of a league average arm, does get hit pretty hard by left-handed bats, and a good hitting environment in Arizona today as well. So yeah, I like the lefties specifically, but I do think Arizona, I'm not playing too many teams today. If I was, certainly Arizona would be among the teams that I would be stacking. And yeah, I kind of like we don't have a Pirates lineup yet. So it will depend on that, but assuming they move O'Neal Cruz up near the top of it, I do like that kind of Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz mini stack against Merrill Kelly in Arizona. Give me some of that left-handed power. So we'll see what the lineup looks like for the Pirates. I'm not going to full stack them, but I do think they have some sneaky low-owned guys that have big upside against Kelly.
All right, Ben Gone, you want anything in this game besides for Merrill Kelly?
Yeah, I kind of like some Arizona bats. I like these lefties. That's where Brubaker has had his struggles. And over the last 30 days, he's shown some struggles against it. Alek Thomas at 3.7K, definitely someone I'm looking at. If you really want to go Emmanuel Rivera at 2K to help make things work at third base, you can. Not saying I'm going to do that, but I think it's definitely sometimes these 2K punts can help just get everything for your lineup. So it's perfectly fine in like those mini stacks to do. Josh Rojas is a little expensive at 4.7. If I have the salary, I'm happy to get him in there, but I'm not prioritizing him. I'd be prioritizing Alec Thomas, and I'd probably be prioritizing Dalton Varsho if I am playing this mini stack. Those are the two guys that I'm likely going to be looking for when I look at my Arizona mini stacks when I run it on SaberSim. So Dalton Varsho at 4.3K, absolutely love him in this spot. And another guy that you can just completely punt with is like an Alcantara or Perdomo. I'm not saying I love these guys, but like, again, if you full on punt them in the mini stack to help get in a Paul Goldschmidt or like a Nolan Arenado, that can help your lineup out a lot and get you that big bat that hits 2 home runs in your Cardinal stack. So like I said, mainly targeting the lefties here. That's my key.
Target lefties in this game. All right. The big game. Here we go. We still don't have the Cardinals lineup today. Maybe Nizer gets in there catcher, right? Because Yadier Molina.
Probably, yeah.
So we can get a little salary relief there. But the Rockies lineup's out. Blackman, Iglesias, Rogers, McMahon, Grichuk, Montero, Daza, Hilliard, Servin. All right, start with the Rockies here, DC.
Yeah, you alluded to the changes to my core that I made, which was taking out the Rockies. We won't say necessarily who got in there. We'll protect that for the subs, but I did remove the Rockies from my core. I'm going to fade the Rockies entirely today. Listen, I'm not saying like if you want to play the Rockies, of course they've got a team total of 6 for a reason. It's 95 degrees in Coors Field. Obviously, they are in play. There's no questioning that. But I will say, give the reasons why I have moved off them. For one, starting pitcher for the Cardinals today, Dakota Hudson. Not a good pitcher, but he is a guy who limits home runs. He's got one of the higher ground ball rates among starting pitchers in baseball. What is a 55, 60% ground ball rate, something like that, which is what you want in Coors Field, right? He's like a sinker baller, pounds the bottom of the zone with fastballs. And if you're not elevating the ball in Coors Field, you don't get the advantage of Coors Field, right? Ground balls are still just ground balls in Coors Field. And the Cardinals, we don't have their lineup yet, but a fantastic team on the infield defense, right? Arenado, Edmund, we'll see if Paul DeJong is in the lineup, but a great defensive team. And so I think Hudson can probably limit the damage from home runs. And then the bigger thing beyond him is the bullpen for the Cardinals is rested right now. They have 3 really good relievers in their bullpen who all do a great job of limiting damage. That's Giovanni Gallegos, Ryan Helsley, who is one of maybe the best reliever in baseball, right up there, and then Jordan Hicks, who is a flame throwing ground ball master himself. All 3 of these guys, none of them have pitched in the last 3 days. Gallegos hasn't pitched in 4 days. I think the Cardinals have if the Rockies don't get to Dakota Hudson in the first 5 innings here, Hicks can go 2 innings. Helsley, Gallegos, these are guys that can maybe go 1 or 2. They can shorten this game. And because they haven't pitched in so long, even if they do some damage against Hudson, you could easily see these guys coming into the game anyway. They just need some work. So I think the Cardinals can kind of shut this game down in the later innings with those 3 arms, and with Dakota Hudson's ability to limit damage via the long ball. I can make a pretty good case. Hopefully I just did it, that the Rockies might not do a lot of damage here. I think their team total is too high, and I could see them putting up just 2 or 3 runs against the specific pitchers that they're going to have to face today. So I am off the Rockies for those reasons. Again, it's freaking Coors Field. Of course you can play these guys, but I'm personally going to fade them. I think their ownership is just going to be too high for my liking, given what I perceive as a tough matchup for them pitching wise. Obviously not park wise, right? Not at all park wise, but if this game was in St. Louis, I know it's not, but I think you'd see the Rockies with the team total like 3.3 or something super low. And I think the Cardinals pitching staff can do a good job keeping the ball on the infield and on the ground in this game, which obviously is not conducive to fantasy production. So I'm fading the Rockies, and you can make a case for fading. This is famous last words here, fading Coors Field, but Armand Marquez, he can deliver good games at Coors Field. He's done it many, many times over the course of his career. Of course, the Cardinals look good, but most of these guys, Goldschmidt, Arenado, O'Neill, you definitely prefer them to face left-handed pitchers. We talked about that last night on the show. So when they're against a righty, I do have less interest, especially when it's the best pitcher on the Rockies staff and Armand Marquez. I wouldn't be shocked if he did pitch an okay game here. And certainly you're going to have to pay these high price tags for the Cardinals guys, most of them anyway. So yeah, I can make a case for fading guys like Goldschmidt, Arenado. Again, we don't have that lineup yet. I do like the lefties for St. Louis better. Nolan Gorman, assume Lars Nootbaar will be in there at near minimum price. You're going to see massive ownership on him. So I will play Nolan Gorman specifically as my favorite guy in that Cardinals lineup. But yeah, I don't think you have to go to this game today. Specifically the Rockies side, I'm going to fade. I will have some Cardinals in my lineup, of course. But I would take the under on this 12 total today. I think we may see a lower scoring game than most people expect.
Mangone, are you with? Or I mean, come on, you're going to play Coors today.
Yeah, I mean, so like I do get what DC is saying about like this lineup. It's not great. Now, when I ran teams, I looked at the 3-mans versus the 5-mans, and I was like, I don't feel like I'm getting this much of like a great upgrade doing the 5-man. So I actually prefer the Rockies more as a 3-man stack the more that I look at it. And here's some of the reasons why. You got Servant at catcher, right? He's obviously someone that you can put in there for salary relief, and catcher like sucks. So like I'm perfectly fine with throwing him in there, and he probably lands on my teams a lot more than not, just because again, I don't want to spend that much money at my catcher position. It helps make things work for my lineup. I get it. It looks like a more of a watered down lineup, but like Montero, he's going to pop on a ton of teams just because he's like a salary relief play. So someone that I'm definitely considering. And then from there, all I got to do is grab like one of like a Rogers or a McMahon. And like, if I am playing a Rogers or a McMahon at second or third, you know what that's doing? That's getting me like different from like those St. Louis teams. Cause a lot of people are throwing in Arenado, right? A lot of people are throwing in Nolan Gorman, and I like Nolan Gorman. I'll have exposure to him as well. But the point I'm getting at is I think there's some really good ways to be different with your Rockies mini stack with your Cardinals 5-man. So I currently have those in there. The one thing I did say is I got my cores up for the single entry 3-max stuff, but I could make some adjustments based on how the Cardinals lineup is, because if it doesn't fit properly, like I think it's going to, and it's going to be a different kind of lineup, then I might make some adjustments. And those adjustments might be going from the Rockies to maybe some of these like lefties on the Arizona side. So that's definitely something that I'm looking at. Like I said, I like some of these Rockies. I'm going to take shots, but mainly as mini stacks, not as that full 5-man stack. And I prefer the Cardinals 5-man over that Rockies. And there's tons of ways to make that team different for sure. So just need that lineup, right? That's going to be very important there for this game.
Bobby Huntbrinker is in the chat correcting everybody on their pronunciation of these players. I usually say really mean stuff, Mangone. So would you like to say something nice to him about that? It is Kisner, by the way. Yeah.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, like I always get ripped on for like not knowing the pronunciation. Yeah. Like, do you
usually
not watch,
I do.
They're like, do you not watch the game? I'm like, I don't put the volume on. Like, I normally got the game on. Like, I got my tracker up too, where I'm tracking the game. I don't want to hear these announcers talk about BS. Now, sometimes I'll listen to them, but honestly, even when that's going on, I'm just straight up looking down at my computer and doing other things. So, and once I give someone a name too, like it's hard to change it. So, mentally it's just tough to do. So once I kind of give them the name in my head, it kind of sticks there. And hey, we're here to bring winners, not pronunciate names properly.
I mean, I should have gotten Kisner. I'll put that on mine. But Bobby, it's not helping though. That's the whole thing. Now I'm completely derailed. I've got ADD. All right. Where are we at? 157. I mean, Tony didn't even know we were on the air. So, I guess we could have promoted it better. What do you want to do, DC? You want to give a play or no? It's pretty brutal.
I don't know. I think we got to stick to our guns here, Holden.
All right. Do you want to do one man gone?
No, I want to put it in the Discord chat for the people. Okay. That's what I want to do. So,
all right, let's do that. Terrific. Let's do that. Simon, wonderful work. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. We were talking some wrestling and some Macho Man Randy Savage before the show started. Scandalous stuff with Steph, by the way. Make sure you sign up for Run Pure Sports, RPS, runpuresports.com, NFL 15% off the life of your subscription, not just this month, for the life. You get SaberSim, our wonderful optimizer as well. So, Pete, Travis, I'm Holden, Simon, get us out of here.